everybody, and welcome back to Film Freaks Television. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. These are the films that we love. And yes, I had to pick because we're actually recording this on my birthday, and I wanted on my birthday a very special day where I can have a bunch of my friends who one of them hasn't been on the show in a while. Wait, Liz, you've been on? Have you been on Film
Me?
Freaks before? Yeah. Have you been
I
on
don't think
Film
I've been
Freaks?
on this. I was gonna say I've been on. I was
You're
on
on a
a few
million of
weeks ago
them.
on something else.
We actually
Right.
watch good movies from time to time. Trust me.
Yeah. And well, I wanted to pick a movie that's on my on my letterbox. I have like all my, you know, typical ones, and then all of them have like 5 stars, 4 stars, all the way to 1 star or whatever. And I wanted to pick one that's on my 5 star. And this is one of my 5 star films. I absolutely love this film to death. And first of all, let's go around I'm gonna introduce everybody. I'm Jonathan Moody, the host. I'm here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, sir.
Me?
Oh,
Yes,
oh.
you're my co-host.
Okay, yes, this is Paulie Presenza, otherwise known as the Moo Cow. I got a bit of a sore throat, so you're going to see me popping, throat lozenges from time to time, so ignore that.
It's okay. All right, and then we've got Liz Fletcher here. How you doing, Liz?
Hi guys, I'm good. How are you, Jonathan?
Hey.
Happy
Doing
birthday!
Thank you. And then we've got John Ward. How you doing, John?
I'm fine. How are you?
The irascible John Ward.
Yes.
That's right. Also known as the Holy Cow, and happy birthday, Jonathan.
Thank you. John, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming on, but I loved what you said to me because you were like, I asked you to come on Film Freaks, and you said, oh man, you better pick something good. It's exactly what you said. Those were your words. And I said, it's going to be 12 Angry Men. And you were like, oh, wow. I was expecting something different for a show called Film Freaks. Can you explain what you were thinking would be a movie that would be on a show called Film Freaks?
Zombie Island Massacre.
He likes the freaks in Film Freaks.
Okay, you like the actual freaks. Okay. No, we don't take it literally.
We are the freaks in this
We
case.
are the freaks, yes. And
Okay. All right. Okay. So so now I understand kind of like the rating of 0 to, on my first time that Paul will never let me forget. So
yeah. And
the stink meter.
The stinkometer.
Stinkometer.
Yes,
there you
the
go,
stinkometer.
Liz.
Thank you.
Liz is all over that like white on rice.
Exactly.
Like a wet fart on silk panties.
Jesus.
All right, now I know what I can say
We are
on
going
here.
downhill quick.
I was going to censor myself until I heard that.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
He was like a ladies on
Sorry,
the show.
guys.
I gotta. So John, yeah, I love that because you have been on the show a few times for Film Freaks. So you've been on one for Star Wars. I think it was Star Wars, right? Yeah, you were on this for the Star Wars one. And then
I wasn't on that one.
Yeah, you weren't on that one. Paul is not a Star Wars fan. But then you were on I know Boondock Saints, which you did not like, and Paul kind of sort of was.
I didn't even make
iffy
it
about
through it.
Yeah, you didn't even finish the movie.
I didn't even finish it. I thought it was so awful.
Oh.
Which is kind of surprising.
You
But
should see the second one.
no.
I think I own the second one. I think it's even a steel book. I think I got it for
bad.
really cheap.
Yeah, it's worse than the first one, but I like the first one anyway. And so Liz, I'm glad you're here for the first time. Like that's we're I think we were going to have you for one before. I think we were going to do Stand By Me at one point, and then unfortunately
We did do Stand By Me.
No, we were going to do Stand By Me, but unfortunately you couldn't make it. Something happened, like you got called to work or something. You couldn't make it, so we just didn't do it. Yeah, but we were gonna do it. So we still will.
Because I remember watching it.
Yeah, I remember watching it too, and I think we were that close to filming. You couldn't to shooting it. We just couldn't do it.
I want to do the Cal version, Stand By Moo.
That would be a totally you thing.
That would be utterly ridiculous.
It would be. All right, so let's talk about this movie, 12 Angry Men. And first of all, I want to say, Liz, this is your first time watching it. What did you think?
I actually really enjoyed it. Was this a play at some point?
So, no, but it came from a teleplay, so it feels
Okay.
like it.
It was
I
also
just
radio. It was a radio show too.
Mhm.
okay. I was drawn to it the whole time. I mean, the acting was just superb.
Yeah. And what about so Paul, you've seen this
Oh
plenty of
yeah,
times, right?
saw it many times. It's been a while. I like it because I'm a huge Sidney Lumet fan, and excuse me, I told you. I do. I like everybody in it. Everybody they gave a great performance. I wish I could say it is a great film. I do have a few issues with it, but those will come out later on. But overall, yeah, I liked it, and I haven't seen it in a while. It's been a while, but it was good to see it again.
I'm glad you said his name correctly, Sidney Lumet, because I watched Chris Stuckman do a review of this movie, and
God,
he
I hate
kept
that guy.
calling him Sidney Lumet. And I was like, his name is not Sidney Lumet. And I was like, let me make sure of that before I say his name. So I went to an interview with him by one of those big time interview guys. And he interviewed him and he says, Sidney Lumet. And I was like, that's what I thought. Like, and I was like, this guy claims to be like a big time film connoisseur reviewer guy, and he can't even get the name of the director he's
Because
reviewing
he's a
about.
hack. Chris Stuckman sucks. He's a hack.
I just was
Don't
really
hold
Not like
back,
us.
Johnny.
disappointing.
Not
He
like
does
us on our
fake
spotlight
laughing and
show.
then falls out of his chair. I mean, the guy's an idiot.
Yeah, Sidney Lumet should come on our show. We know how to treat an interview a guest like that.
Sidney Lumet.
Well, Sidney Lumet's kind of dead, so
Sidney Lumet, it's
if
all
we
right.
if we got Sidney Lumet, it would be like zombie Sidney Lumet, and I
Be
don't.
a
We'll
That could be
just hold
fun.
a seance and we'll contact his spirit and interview him. Can you imagine if that was real? How many people we could interview? That'd be so much fun.
Dude, now you're giving me like wanna be like ideas for
Seance interviews. What a great fun series that would be.
I would love that, but I'd be kind of scared. Like I don't know. Like just contacting someone from the great beyond might be a little terrifying. Um,
You'd have to do it the Ed Wood way and make it weird.
okay. All right. Anyway, it already sounds weird. Okay, so John, and you've seen this movie plenty of times.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. I saw it in film school, and yeah, I've seen it over the years in different formats. So yeah, no, I think it's a it's a really good film. And I was trying to think. So I want to see the sequel where the guy is guilty and he goes out and murders somebody else, and all of them are like, "Oh my God, he was guilty." Then they go and like lynch, Fonda's character, or we
Well,
do a prequel to it where we just get the whole court case, or they could remake it today, and the entire jury could be um gay, black, blind,
I
one-legged women that are non-binary, and that there's no white men on the jury at all. And it will just be all minorities.
it would
And
definitely be 12 Angry People. Right? Like that would be the
12,
title.
12, 12 angry woke people.
I don't think they would call it that though. I just think they would call it 12
I
Angry
could
People.
swear that there was a remake, and I looked it up, and it's not true. I thought there was one called 12 Angry Persons or 12 Angry People. And it was white, black, male, female. And then I looked it up, and it isn't. There is a William Friedkin TV movie
Yep.
called 12 Angry Men that has white, black, and stuff like that. But I could swear that there was one
So
that was called
well,
12 Angry
you
People.
knew the dude was innocent from the very first time you see him, and he's like,
sad
it's
puppy
like,
dog
yeah.
face,
So it's
yeah.
like
The
that's
camera
one of those
lingers on him
moments
for
that
a long time.
one of the moments that I didn't care for in this film. It should have been just straight up, that was a little too on the nose for me.
I would
Frankly.
have loved
He
it
should
if
have
we
had
didn't.
tattoos with a teardrop, like a tattooed teardrop coming down.
Yeah, fuck mother on top of
I
this.
would have
Yeah.
loved
That
if
would
we,
be the 2025 version.
that would be.
Some guy who looks like Post Malone.
And that's kind of my main criticism with the film is that this is kind of a product of its time. This is not a reflection of America now.
Yeah.
Mainly because what we lack now that we didn't have back then is shame. The last two jurors who out themselves do it because they're ashamed. The one guy's ashamed of his prejudice that finally comes out, and the second guy is ashamed finally, I guess, because of his failed relationship with his son. I was never really convinced as to why he finally turns over in the
Yeah,
end.
I didn't like
But
that. I definitely
these
did not like
days,
that part.
that doesn't happen. These days, everybody just doubles down on their shit and doesn't move, and it just would not happen. So it's really no longer reflective of today's society. 1957, yes, but today, no.
I'm going to slightly disagree with that. So I think that there
See,
are
he's doubling down.
the diehard liberals who would be Fonda that thinks that everybody who's in a minority is innocent.
Hmm.
I would say there's of course the racist guy who's on there who because the guy is a minority thinks he's guilty. There's and the guy at the very end who gives in is that you could probably see him in the jury looking at the guy as he the guy who's being on trial as his son, and that's why he doesn't like him, is that he doesn't see that guy, he sees his son and what his son has done to him, and the son is guilty, while of course you have the other guy who just says all if the guy is Hispanic or whatever he is, they're all the same. And
Yeah,
that's
but the son didn't
that's
do
today
anything.
also.
That's kind of the problem. If the son had attacked him or had done something to fight back, that could have made it a little bit more interesting, but the son didn't do shit.
Yeah. Well, I also want to point out because John did say that there's the William Friedkin remake and everything, which is also on Tubi. Interestingly enough, both versions are. But if you get this Kino 4K, it comes with both movies.
Oh, really?
So you get the original Henry Fonda one, and then you get the 12 Angry Men 1997 one, which I forgot who the cast of that one was, but it has both things plus commentary and behind the scenes. So a wonderful 4K edition. And I mean, does it really need a 4K? No. It's like all in one location. There's really no.
I tell you though, but there's a reason why this movie is shown in film school. And it's because, I don't know whether you noticed, but the camera changes several times. The focal length changes so that it's kind of a lot more wide in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And as you progress, it feels like it gets closer and the background gets closer and closer and closer until the very end when it finally resolves itself. And then we're back to wide again. And that's just sort of like a textbook way to show how you make a small enclosed space even more claustrophobic for effect.
Yes. I was going to say the whole movie made me claustrophobic most of the time because I felt like I was there with these guys, dealing with these, situations and everything, and feeling like one of the jurors, like just listening to them and talk. And throughout it, I mean, even though I've seen this movie like 3 or 4 times, I first watched it in Law and Society class and fell asleep. I was not, first of all, I was only taking Law and Society class because I needed the credits for it. I had no interest in law and I hated court stuff back then. I love court stuff now.
Shocker.
I love it now. I'm growing. There's a few things that I'm starting to really change.
But it's a one location movie, and you hate one location movies.
I do, except if it's based on a play, or so, like a play.
12 Angry Rope Men.
Rope is a great movie that it takes place all in one place. And so is there's a movie called Tape that I actually really like, but that's also based on a play that Richard Linklater, took and made into a thing. So there are some movies I can do it if it's based on a play and sort of the play is like that.
Sometimes there are just cheap, shitty movies that aren't well thought out where they just stick the camera in one spot and you never leave that room. It's just because they don't know what they're doing.
And this wasn't based on a play, but it felt like a play, like Liz had mentioned. It felt very much like that. So Liz, who's your favorite character in this movie? I mean, I don't know if you know any of the names or like the juror names because they kind of you don't really hear as
One,
much.
two, three,
Yeah, there's
four.
all the way to 12. Who'd you like?
I mean, I know it's probably cliche, but I really liked juror number 8 and the fact that he pretty much put himself out there and stood against all these other jurors and their biases and
It's Henry Fonda.
all their personal, personal shit they've got going on, um, and just stood his ground and made people open their eyes up and actually look at the evidence rather than just, you know, sentencing this kid to the electric chair.
Yeah, which I think was, I mean, that was one of the big things with that is like watching it going, if they do vote this guy guilty, and he doesn't deserve to go to the electric chair. I mean, could some of them live with each other, with themselves for that? Some of them could. The guy with the
Yeah.
son, I think even though he was found out he was not guilty or something, maybe some evidence came out and they found out somebody else did it, they would have he would have probably still been like, okay, I don't care, I stood my ground, I did whatever. That's why I didn't like his switch at the end. It just felt too quick, like I felt like there really needed to be a part where you see him sort of agree with them, enough that maybe, but he's still standing his ground. And then eventually he says, you know what, you're right, but or somebody had to say something to him to make him go, you're right. I didn't think about that. Boom. You
Which
know,
one is number 8?
number 8 is Henry Fonda. So that's,
He's like the one
Oh,
star
okay.
of the time, the big
yeah.
name of the time.
Well, he
Which
also
this,
produced it too.
this
Yeah,
was Sidney Lumet's first movie, by the way.
yeah, it
He had done
was.
television before
Wow.
this, and
I
this was his
know.
first movie. And then, and it did not do well. It bombed. And from what I read, Henry Fonda did not make his money back from it because of that. And but he still says this is one of the three of his favorite films that he's ever done. And that includes Grapes of Wrath and some another film. But I have never
See,
seen Grapes of Wrath, I don't think.
oh, that's a great film. The I agree with Paul with the camera work and everything. Is you have to, if you're in a one location, especially a room with a group of people and a table, you have to be incredibly creative to put the camera in there to where things are not boring. If you use the same shot over and over and over again, you're going to lose your audience. So you have to use different angles and everything to keep your audience, this is a little under 2 hours, entertained. So you have to know when to go to a close up, when to go to a medium shot, when to go to the wide, when to do a 2 shot or a 3 shot. Every shot in this does have a purpose, and where a lot of films don't. I like the camera work because it's not steady. If you watch the camera, it's always kind of moving a little bit as it like dollies forward, because you could tell um that it's not completely stable like it is today, where everything is just straightforward. This
Mhm.
has that little bit of a documentary look.
Or a
Yeah.
TV show. That's kind of what it felt like in a good way. Like,
Well, and I felt that it was like, I kept thinking this looks like a Twilight Zone episode because a lot of
right,
these actors are in Twilight Zone.
exactly.
So I was waiting for the ending of this being that like one of them is an alien and this is a test. And
That would have
it,
been the thing Paul liked.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I definitely picked up on that, and that's one of the big reasons why I like the film is just the direction for a first time film director. Wow,
Mhm.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was a TV director, so that sort of makes sense that this would be his first feature film, would still look sort of like TV. It wasn't until he did like, I don't know, movies like Serpico or Dog Day Afternoon that he had a more filmic look to it, to him and everything like that. I mean, the
He
guy's
also did The Wiz. Let's not forget that.
I looked as I was looking up his filmography, and yes, The Wiz was on there, and I was like, really, Sidney Lumet? Like, I don't think of him as the director of The Wiz, but
But he did do The Verdict, though.
did do The
Verdict was
Verdict.
good.
So this is on AFI's top 100 films. This is number 87 of the top 100 films, which I don't know. Like Paul would probably I don't know. Like all the ones that are on 100, a lot of them Paul wouldn't watch, like Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz and, all these other movies that are
Well,
on
that's
there.
because I think a lot of those are overrated, in my opinion. I don't think this one is overrated. I just, if it makes the film top 100 for me, it's probably about 100. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that the movie depends on does not happen today. Like you pointed out, it's all white men there. That, having just come from jury duty, I can tell you that no longer happens unless you're like, I guess, in the deepest of South. Secondly, I love how back then everybody showed up dressed up really nicely. That was also not the case when I was there. You could dress comfortably, so nobody has that extra pressure on you.
Well, I think that
The
you might have been of the time because at that time I
Yeah,
bet they did do
these
that.
jury
And
rooms
smoking beyond belief.
have like air conditioning, so you wouldn't have that extra pressure on you as well. You get food breaks, and you know what I mean. So it's a little bit more of its time and less of today.
And yeah, as John said, smoking was big there. I was like,
Oh,
oh, they're smoking
My
like chimneys.
God, the amount of smoke that was in there, and I'm surprised that there was newspapers in there.
yeah.
You're not allowed to look at newspapers.
Oh yeah.
Or I bring a knife,
Yeah.
I know.
Like,
I
Yeah,
was wondering
how do you
he
get
got
that
in
through?
there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a day back in the day when they didn't search you to go in there. I mean, it's a whole different society now.
I know. Well, I don't know if that would have been a thing. Like, I don't know if you really could still bring a knife in there. I think there'd be somebody there because there was that one scene where he looked like everybody even jumped up when he like raised his hand back because they thought he really was gonna kill that dude. And there would have been probably some kind of guard or something there that would have,
And the other
been
thing
around.
too is I think Americans in general, this is before Vietnam, so I think Americans in general had more respect for the founding rocks of our society, things like, the justice system and law and order and that sort of thing. It's a very different thing that happened after Vietnam when all of that kind of got exposed. I think Americans were still in that innocent period back then. That's why I say it's kind of in a little bar of amber because it's a product of its time that just would not work today.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Now,
and the closest thing to somebody, being in the minority is the guy in the background of Jonathan's picture there with the mustache.
yeah,
He would be the
the Hispanic guy.
closest thing, yeah, to having somebody, of color
I think that's
in the
George
room.
Vukovich.
Yeah,
So, because
he was
everybody
great.
else is, and you would maybe even think like the really old guy that maybe because he's this really old guy that he might be a racist, and he's not. Instead it's the guys that are younger than him that are really showing, their true colors. Especially
Yeah.
at the end when the guy realizes what a racist he is and sits there in shock. Like, oh my God, I'm a horrible human being.
Now, I want to bring up something because Paul always says like one of his favorite court comedy things is My Cousin Vinny. And when I watched this movie again, my first thought at the toward the end when they do the whole glasses thing was like My Cousin Vinny ripped this movie off. Because the whole bit in My Cousin Vinny, you've seen it, right, Liz, right? Like you've seen that one.
I think I might have seen it once, but I don't
Okay.
really
It's the
remember it.
magic grits.
Yeah, well, the big thing was like that the one woman had her eyeglasses and she couldn't see very well or something, and they did a whole test on it, and everything like that. And I was like thinking, oh my God, they ripped this idea off because there was that bit where the guy, they were talking about the woman who had
The
he couldn't see,
witness.
yeah, the witness that couldn't see
Yeah.
very well without her glasses and, 60 feet away. and stuff like that. And I was like,
Well, and that's the other thing too is again, I'm not even sure this would go to trial on a modern day thing because the only evidence they had was the witness. That's it. And most um, you know, prosecutors are probably not going to put their reputation on the line with anything less than that. I mean, that just wasn't enough.
yeah, there
You
was
know,
that one other person, right? Another like, but he didn't see. He
he
only
didn't
saw.
see shit.
Yeah, he only saw the guy running away, but couldn't like
He
make
saw
out
someone
Right.
running away.
or running. Yeah, someone running away. So like, yeah, you're right. Like technically, this would have been probably there wouldn't have been enough evidence, and they all would have. But this is what I liked about it because everybody already made up their mind, all the jurors except for that
Hmm.
one. So the whole time in the movie, they're all like, I just want to go to my baseball game coming up.
Right,
So
right.
I'd
This
rather,
this this is not about who's guilty and who's innocent. This is about the whole point of having reasonable doubt.
Hmm.
yeah,
That's why this movie exists, is to make sure that people understand the only way our system works is if there is a reasonable doubt and that you actually take the freaking time to sit there and have one. You know what I mean? And take the effort to actually try to figure out a reasonable doubt.
because the was it the kid could have been sent to the electric chair had somebody else other than Henry Fonda been in that thing because most likely another person could have agreed with them and said, yeah, you know what, I think he's guilty too.
Well,
Let's
that's
all
brought
just
up. They mention that. They say
eh,
that if they do like the stalemate, that there was going to be another jury that will convict him.
yeah,
One
exactly.
of the
Yeah,
guys
no, you're
brings
right.
it up. He's like,
You're right.
let's just, we'll just call this a draw, and then the other guys will convict him.
Yeah.
So, but they are going off of what they saw in court. So it's the one guy is a little, is racist. I mean, he's just assuming that, as he says, they're all this way. But the
Hmm.
other people are going off of what the lawyers said and what the judge said and what the evidence is. And I mean, hearing what was said, I would probably be convinced.
Which
You
one?
know,
Which
it,
way?
Not me. I
I'd
mean,
probably be convinced that he's guilty, and then you would probably have to talk that because you're trusting what's being said in court that that this kid did it, and here's the reasons why. Here's the evidence,
but
and from what they described, he sounded guilty.
all of that evidence is circumstantial. The only one that had a chance was the witness. And witnesses lie. They're very unreliable. And this was an older lady looking out through a window with a train passing by at night. Yeah, no. If I were a prosecutor, I would have let him plea out something, and this never would have gone to trial.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
like you said, today, but back then, and people
yeah.
aren't thinking about
Yeah.
that stuff because we don't have they didn't have that technology. So
I mean,
if a lawyer is going, there's a woman who was 60 feet away who saw the murder take place, she saw him stab the dad and leave, then the jury's going to believe that. The jury is going to believe that the witness is telling the truth because she's on the stand and she's supposed to tell the truth.
Hmm.
she
I
might be
totally
telling the
agree.
truth, but just be mistaken.
I mean, she could be, but like what she's saying when when they go on the stand and they say, "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth," which they even did back then, you got to believe that what they're saying is the truth, whether or not you think that they might be lying.
Yeah,
You
again,
know?
that's pre-Vietnam War thinking. That got shattered a good while ago. But the other thing is too is they never bring up one of the most obvious things too. Is what if it was an accident? What if he even was there with a knife and there was a struggle and it didn't mean to actually stab him, but that was the outcome because of the struggle? That doesn't mean that he gets premeditated murder either. That's not
Yeah.
brought up.
Yeah, it might not. My idea was it could have been an accident, right? Like could have been they could have been struggling for the knife because I mean he did say I love the scene where they're talking about him going like they're talking about how you don't say like I'm gonna kill you. That's just a line that everybody always says. And
Right.
then the one guy goes, I'm gonna kill you, and he goes, are you gonna kill me? Like, and he was like there's that moment, and then my other favorite moment is when he proved that the woman might be is an old woman and she might be unreliable or whatever, and he says that, and then he gives a look like, oh shit, I shouldn't have. oops. And I even said like out loud, I go, oops.
Right, and that's the thing. The prosecutor has to show intent and motive. If if he doesn't, what does he gain? What does this kid gain by doing that? Really nothing. So if you say, well, it was a heat of the moment thing, well, that's not first degree premeditated murder. Okay, so that's why I'm saying I don't even back then I don't know that this case would have gone to court. There's just not enough to convict,
Yeah.
and prosecutors like sure things.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have to give the audience something easy to follow.
Well, you
So
do.
this is easy to follow. You know, young kid, minority, kills his dad, bring in a couple racists, a couple nice guys. It's easy for the audience to follow. If it's a play, a movie, a radio show, it's easy to
Right.
follow.
Your
Right, and again,
characters.
it's mainly because again, it's the guilt or innocence is really the secondary thing. It's really about exploring the idea of
Reasonable doubt.
reasonable doubt.
Um, Liz, if you were in this situation, and you were there listening to this stuff, like, what would you have first been? Do you think you would have first been on the guilty side, or do you think you would have been just like Henry Fonda?
Well, I think, like Paul said, I realized that a lot of the evidence was circumstantial, and the only thing that they had was a knife. And I don't even think it had his fingerprints on it, did
Nope,
it?
nope. And they tried to use that against him, saying, "Oh, well, he must have cleaned the knife off." You don't have any evidence of that either.
Right. Exactly. So you go on, Liz.
But yeah, I think, like Paul said, I don't think this probably would have even made it to trial. Go, stop.
Coco's being
Where my treats at?
Everybody wants attention right now.
oh, tell them it's my birthday. Back off.
And food.
Well, something that Liz mentioned at the very beginning of this is, oh, it's all men, no women.
Right.
That's so while watching it, I did notice that there was a men's restroom and a woman's restroom. I'm like, okay, so that means that women must be in there at some point. So I
Hmm.
looked it up, and women were actually not allowed to be on juries until 1957. The film came out in 1957.
Wow.
So
And
wait.
then
So
remember too that the other thing that wouldn't have that still happens today as they did back then is that the lawyers have some degree of control over who gets to
Right.
go into the jury pool, and somebody who was an obvious racist would not make it in, not even back then. Again, unless you're in the deep, 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 deep South. I got the feeling that this was like a New York City kind of a situation.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah,
New
it's New
York
York
City.
City.
Yeah. And I liked all the snarkiness a lot of the guys had, to each other or whatever. It's
Right.
like one point where he's like, "It looks like it's gonna," or "I think it's gonna rain." It was like, "How do you figure that?"
That is the cool thing about the film that I really like is the way that in that small space of time, every one of those actors gets to flesh out their character, and they're all different in their
Yeah.
own little fun ways.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Like it must have been fun for the actors, and what I've heard is that Sidney Lumet had them all act in that room for like take after take after take without actually rolling the camera. So they had to do the scenes over and over so that they could feel like they were in a room together and having to, before for that stuff. And I thought that was crazy. I would not do that to people just because I don't have time. You know what I mean? I don't have money like that or whatever. And it was actually like only 27 days of shooting, which for Hollywood, that's actually, that's small. For us indie people, that's a lot of time.
Well, and I think also too there is a little bit of a contrivance in that too, in that it 12 Angry Men sounds like a much better title than 12 Angry People, which just does.
Which
That's
would be what
fair.
they would do if they did it today, which I don't know
12
if they
angry
would do it
people,
today.
12 angry persons, 12,
12 angry, I
The
don't know.
Jury is probably what they would call it.
Ew, that's a
I
terrible
know.
title. I don't like that. I liked there was a new Clint Eastwood movie called Juror Number One or something. Juror Number
juror
something.
number two.
Juror Number Two. There you go. And then that
I
was
didn't see that one.
It's his last movie, I think. He's retired now. And
12 jurors. It could be called that. 12 jurors.
12
Hmm.
Jurors. I would watch that. Uh, but only if it were interesting like this. This is the thing. Like this was very well written. Like when you watch this movie, every person's dialogue is interesting. You
Yeah.
know, like there's something
Well,
going
and it
on.
feels real too.
Yep. It feels like they were there trapped in that time and those were people. You know, those were real people that
Yeah.
you were watching at that particular
I
time.
really dug Jack Warden. He was one of my favorite character in there, the dude with the hat.
Hmm.
He's because all he really wants to do is go watch his baseball game, and he's really, really, really not interested in anything else. And he kind of, and that's you get people like that in the juries, and they are quite obvious that they're there because only because they have to be there, and they don't have a choice, and their interest and attention is somewhere else, and they're just going to vote however they vote because they're going with the crowd just to get it over with.
I
Hmm.
forgot which juror was the one that kept bringing up like sales lines and stuff, like talking
I
about
think it
That's
was
the
12.
that's the Dan Draper
Right.
character that's but right behind you with the slick hair, the young guy.
yeah, the young
That's
guy. He was the
I
young
kept
guy.
looking at him going, that's they had to get Dan Draper from Mad Men from him.
That's Robert
If
Weber.
they would that's who they would cast for that role, maybe, you know, if they did 12 jurors.
I don't think
Um
that they can't do one of these today. It wouldn't I don't think it wouldn't be because you who would be on trial? Would it be a black guy, Hispanic guy? Would it be a woman? Would it be a white guy? Who would be on trial? Because no matter
Well,
what, you're going to offend somebody
the thing
if you're
is
not
that
picking the right person.
you've already explored this in a way of reasonable doubt. I mean, unless you're going to do that again, I'm not sure what else you want to explore.
Well, and if they did it today, it would be way more racially driven than this. You know, I think it would be like it would be a either a black guy or a white guy kills a
Oh,
cop.
it would
You
definitely be a
know,
white guy. It'd be a
it'd be a
white
what?
straight male. It would definitely be a white guy. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
I mean, it's
Because
interesting
because
just
white
because,
guys are Nazis. That's how we're looked at these days is you if you're going to have a terrorist group or some sort of group, you make it a Nazi group. So who bombed the bank? Oh, is this Nazi, underground group? Because then you're not going to offend anybody. If you say it's Muslims or whatever it is, you're going to offend people. So now, if you don't want to offend people, you say that it's a white guy who does it. So it'd be well, oh well, he bombed a building. It was, it's a white guy.
Well, that
So
is
well, if
that's
you
who
want to
it would
make it
be.
more realistic, again, I just had jury duty, and at that time, the prosecutor was black, the defendant was black. I would say two-thirds of the jury were black because in Hampton it's a black majority town, so it's pretty darn reflective of the community there. So I mean, it all kind of depends. I mean, if you're gonna, it depends on again what you're trying to argue for. So you can still do, you know, a straight up kind of exploration of justice or the lack thereof without necessarily getting racist if you want to. And I would think as a filmmaker, you wouldn't be bothered about who gets offended and who doesn't,
yeah.
because you're making your movie.
Well, right.
Well, and but then your movie is going to bomb.
Right. Well, so Paul, I want to bring that up. You said you did do jury duty and everything, or you're going to do jury duty, and then you got
Yeah,
dismissed.
I went through the whole process till the end, and then they wrote me off.
Why they write you off?
Don't know. They never tell you.
They
Yeah,
never
I
tell you,
wouldn't think they would tell you.
but they just said like because I mean, when I see it in movies or television and they're doing the jury, they're picking the jury. You know, they're looking at certain things of why somebody might be, prejudiced, toward that particular case or whatever or
I mean,
whatnot.
it could be anything. It could be as much as something like I might have been at the time just the only one with an advanced degree, in which case one of the lawyers would think, hey, we don't want somebody who's like that or thinks like that. We want regular people here, and they would just get rid of me, you
Or
know,
thinks you're a cow.
or thinks I'm a cow. But both sides get to strike people, and then if the defending jury wants one person gone, then the prosecutor gets to strike one that he thinks wouldn't help his case too. So that's pretty much all that is.
You didn't moo at them, did you?
I really wanted to. I wanted to so badly.
But no,
I
yeah,
just didn't want to be in cow tempt of court.
you would have
Ah.
been.
Gosh.
Trust me, he knows these puns. Like he's already got like it's like James Balsamo. He's already got all these figured out before he does them. No, I don't know. I think like this movie was one of those things that does make you think, and it makes you wonder. But like you're saying, Paul, and even John mentioned before, and Liz, we all kind of just agreed that like it just is different today, and
Hmm.
all of these things that happened in this movie that would have happened then, or whatever. This was a real movie for that time period. But nowadays, everything would be like
Yeah,
they have
I
more
just think
technology, and
I just think today people don't take their civic responsibilities as seriously as they did back then.
So do you think that like if something like this were to happen, that they would just say, you know, they're they're guilty, let's just move on? He's guilty, or do you think,
Who, me?
yeah, do you think they would say that?
No, I think it would go right to a hung jury.
Hung jury. Well, there you go. And I don't know. I think that would just mean another, group comes in and maybe they, you know, say the same thing or something. I don't
Yeah, but
know.
that
Or
that that favors the defendant though, because the odds of getting multiple groups together to all agree on one thing is much harder. So,
yeah. Well,
Did you also notice that Henry Fonda's character was in all white, like a guardian angel type of thing? That he
mhm.
was the only one that was just like that. Everybody else had like dark suits, and but he was more like the guardian angel. Like he was sent there to protect this guy and make these guys
Yeah.
change their
So
opinions.
yeah, there's a few little contrivances in there that kind of annoyed me, but that's all right.
And
yeah,
I do agree that with where everybody just assumes that he's guilty and Fonda is the one that changes their minds, and that the reasonable doubt that there are people out there and who just sit there and say all black people steal, all Hispanics are lazy, all, and they're not. I mean, you can have somebody who's a jerk and then somebody who's really nice. It's just it's to assume that, like the one guy was saying, they all lie. They don't all lie. We
Right.
all lie.
And the thing
I
is,
mean,
you can get in trouble for that if you're in court and that comes out because you get screened both by the lawyers and by the judge. In my case, the judge came out there and said, look, if anybody there has certain feelings about, because there was like a police investigation there, well, if you have certain feelings about these kinds of people or those kinds of people or police in general, you need to come out and say this now so that you can be excused. So if it comes out later that you had these prejudices and never said anything, you could be fined or charged with contempt of court because you were specifically asked to produce that.
mhm. Yeah. Wait, and then that was the other thing with the guy that said, they're all like that or whatever, or those people,
It's Ed
and
Begley.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ed Begley, man. It was like Ed Begley
senior.
Jr.'s. Yeah, Ed Begley
Doesn't
Jr.'s
even look
dad.
like Junior.
I know. I was like, wait, where is that big? Like, I was thinking it was Junior, and I was like, wait a minute, he was not like old enough in 1950 or 19, was it 50 something? It was like, or
57.
57. Jeez, so he was not old enough. Yeah, no, but it was nice to see like his father, and everything, there doing the stuff. So, his father's just, I don't know who's more famous though. Maybe his father, but uh, Ed Begley Jr. is probably one of my favorite like actors that like nobody ever really talks
And
about.
and shout out to John Fiedler, who's one of my favorite character actors. He's the guy who plays the little guy with the glasses.
Oh
He
yeah.
plays the little guy with
Piglet.
glasses in everything. He was in the Bob Newhart show. He played sort of this neurotic little guy with glasses, and he did the voice of Winnie the Pooh for years.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
Piglet.
right. Yeah, Piglet for Piglet for it.
And Piglet, he did both.
Oh, did he?
Oh.
Oh, well, that's
What I
awesome.
what I liked about him is he wasn't the shy guy. He wasn't the like when the big guy was yelling that the guy is guilty, he didn't back off. Instead, when the guy walks away, he calls him a loudmouth.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, okay, I like that. He actually stands up for himself. He's just like, okay, okay, you're bigger than me. Instead, it was just like, dude, you shut up.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing is everybody sort of because it went for a while, this didn't just take place in 2 hours or something. This took place for hours, of them, and they were getting sick of each other, and
Hmm.
everything like that. I'm guessing that's where the angry, part comes in, because they're just all mad at each other, and all they want to do, and through the movie you see it in the beginning, it's 11 against 1, and then soon it's 2 against 10, and then it's 6 against 6, and eventually it's 11 against 1 at the end. And I thought, wow, that is so, like, to see it sort of. And there's even one part where the guy's like, never mind, I changed my mind. And he goes back, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so annoying, because it's real. Like, because this would happen, is somebody would just go, they made a good point. I'm gonna go join this side. You
Trust
know.
me, there's more than a small part of me that would be very obstinate and just to disagree, so it goes on long enough that I get a free meal out of it.
You would
After
troll
that, I'll
them.
go with the majority.
Yeah, and you'll be like, okay, I'm done.
Well, and the guys that are a little more quiet, like Jack Clubman and stuff, when you're in there long enough and people are talking crap, like the two guys who were saying that everybody's, that the guy's racist, I'm not is guilty, that you do feel more free to open your mouth.
Hmm.
So, like Jack Clubman eventually does start to talk, and he gets a little more aggressive with things, because he's slowly realizing, even the guy with the glasses, they're slowly realizing who these people are,
Hmm.
and that they are going to be more vocal, near the end. So, and when you start, it'd be, like if one of those guys, if there was a black person in the room who was talking crap about black people, eventually that guy's going to speak up. He's going to say something. You may let it go at first. Oh, this guy's just a racist. I'll just let it go. But an hour later, 2 hours
Sorry,
later,
someone's
all
at
of
my
a
door.
sudden, it's going to be brought up. It's gonna,
Everybody
so
has a breaking point.
And
yeah.
exactly. And you know who would do a great job remaking this movie that would probably never do it? Quentin Tarantino. I would
It's
love
so
to
funny. I
see.
knew you were gonna say that.
Well, I mean, he's my go-to person anyway, but I just think he's good at racial stuff, dealing with racial stuff. So I think he'd have a fun time with this movie. I don't know his thoughts on it, if he likes it or not, like if this is one of his, more favorite movies. It was honestly, it was toss up between this one, and I also wanted to do In the Heat of the Night at some point, which
Oh, that's a good one.
that's a great movie.
Oh,
Liz, have
calm
you ever seen
down.
that one?
I, Jonathan, remember, I grew up under a rock, so no, I've not seen it.
Okay. Well, it's a very good. I hadn't seen it till I bought it, which was like last year, I think, or so. And so I hadn't seen it, but me and my friend watched it, and we were like, this is really fucking good. Like, we've never seen it, and this kind of blew
Hmm.
us away. So it's a movie that I haven't watched the sequels, which also the Blu-ray has the sequels, Call Me Mr. Tibbs or something like that,
Yeah,
and
call me Mr. Tibbs and the organization.
yeah, those two I don't have.
Sorry,
Uh,
my roommate had a Uber delivery.
oh, okay. So I was telling them that it was going to be between this or In the Heat of the Night, but
Oh yeah.
I chose this one, which I will do In the Heat of the Night either this season or next season, because that's also like, and these are two movies that I hadn't seen really, or whatever. Like I said, I've seen this in long society class, but fell asleep and don't remember anything about it. So it's almost like seeing it for the first time when I first watched it, but I loved it. And then, and I bought it from Kino, even having never seen it, because I just love, I just love this movie. I
I
just
am
think this movie
surprised
is
it's
so
not a
fun.
Criterion.
It is a Criterion,
Oh, it
actually.
is.
Yeah, so 12 Angry Men is Criterion for Blu-ray, but Kino Lorber got the rights for 4K. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, and so they did that. But yeah, they do that apparently from time to time. It's like one won't get the 4K rights because they just got the Blu-ray rights. They never knew what 4K was when they got the Blu-ray rights for it, and so they lost the chance to get the 4K. It's like I think it's like a bidding war. Like whoever pays more money gets it or whatever.
Hmm.
Would be my guess.
It's a
Um,
great movie.
yeah.
Carol
Um,
O'Connor is awesome in that film.
oh, you're talking about In the Heat of the Night.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
and
thought
12
that's what you were talking about.
I was talking about 12 Angry Men being
Oh,
Criterion. I think In the Heat of the Night is as well. Both are Criterion films, and they both got
Yeah, I know He of the Night is.
yeah. So both of them got Criterion, and they both got 4K Kino releases. So wonderful. Kino's been kicking ass on 4K, so I'm happy with it. Like, I mean, it looks great. Like this one looks great. So
We
well
could
done.
we could do a sock puppet remaking called 12 Angry Puppets,
You can make that. I mean, why not? You can't get sued for that. I mean,
right?
it's a you know,
I
I
would
don't think
watch
so.
that.
See, see.
Yeah, Paul, make it, Paul, make it. I'd
and
I'd be
you just
okay with
have like
that.
the little Muppet arm with the knife on it. You got the string that holds up the knife. That he's gonna...
I
It
could
was
I
so
could
much
see
fun.
that. Yeah, it would be like was the Muppets take 12 Angry
I
to,
love the
the
Muppets.
Muppets in court,
Muppets in court. Have they ever
the
done
Muppets
that?
on trial.
Have they ever done that where they went to trial? I don't think they have.
No, but somewhere
Fo-
along the line, one Muppet must have killed another Muppet. So you got to figure there was a Muppet murder trial somewhere.
I mean, it's a huge
They think
land of
Fozzie's killed
Muppets.
Animal because he's
There you go.
insane. So they think that Fozzie stabbed him because he was nuts. And Fozzie's like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Or
So he's on.
the Grouch guy. He probably killed and cannibalized another Muppet.
Well, how about the count guy, and he just counts every time he kills someone. One.
Yeah, he'll be the jury foreman.
Juror number one. Tell me what. That's so
And then one of
funny.
them has got to be the Swedish chef, where he's like, "Rudy, Rudy, Rudy,
Oh
Rudy,
my
Rudy,"
God.
and then nobody knows what he's saying. Have a lot
uh,
of fun.
he could be the racist guy because nobody knows what he's saying, so nobody knows that whatever. I think that would be
It's
even
just
funnier.
subtitled.
It's subtitled, and people are like, "What did he say? That sounded racist. Was that racist? I can't
Excuse me.
tell." All right. Anyway, I really did enjoy rewatching this movie, and I did, the thing like once again, I didn't like the guy just flip flopping at the end really fast, and I hated that like him tearing up the picture and then like plopping himself down. I was like, wait, this is way over dramatic for like what already felt very real. That did not feel real. Like that felt like that was, and then he was
Well, he
like,
had a breakdown.
I
Maybe
know,
his
but
blood sugar was low.
he was like, I
Yeah.
just want to get
Yeah.
out of
He
here.
needed a sandwich.
Well, I mean, it was 11-1. He did say he had his right, to disagree, but like, how long is that gonna last? Like you're gonna have somebody if you're 11-1 and nobody's gonna turn to your side again, you gotta give
And
up.
a shout out to E.G. Marshall too, who played the Spock of the group. He was
He's
hanging
my
on to that
favorite.
one little piece of logic, and when it is finally shown to be an error, that's when he changes, and that seemed very well within character for him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
I really liked him. I mean, he doesn't sweat. He never takes off his coat. He's always has good manners. I mean,
Doesn't
yeah,
get
he really is
excited.
like a Vulcan. I mean, it's just I really liked him a lot in this. Yeah.
you just need the ears, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Spock ears. I would I would have loved uh I would have loved more of his scenes, and stuff too. Like I felt like his character wasn't as big as some of the other ones too, but I did like the fact that they called him like very polite, or whatever, and stuff. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really fun,
Of course, if it were me, I'd remake it and I'd put people like Gary Busey and Tommy Wiseau and every
Oh God.
flaky actor in the world and put him in there and let him go.
I don't
Oh
think
God.
Wasn't that a reality show at some point?
Probably
Yeah, what was it like
12 angry has-beens.
the
12 flaky
surreal life or
has-beens.
something? Or no, Celebrity Rehab.
Celebrity Rehab?
You never heard of that? That's a real
No.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. They had
Busey was on that, wasn't he?
yeah, Busey was on Celebrity Rehab.
Or if you want to really piss off people, you could have a small person in there. You could be 11 and a half men. 11 and a half angry men.
Don't tell that to Peter Dinklage.
I know.
He'll make sure that no dwarf actually gets to play that role. Oh man. But I don't know.
Just throw
Yeah,
Tom Cruise in there. He's practically a midget anyway.
Oh, how dare you! You take that
Ah.
back. You take that back.
He's like
he would
4'10".
he would wear heels, okay? He'd wear the risers. How dare you?
He's Tom Cruise. He'd make everybody else act on their knees.
Oh, how dare I am done with this, sir.
Massive ego.
I am done with this. I didn't even bring up Tom Cruise at all.
you did not, and I think that's funny that Paul's got to attack it, or whatever, just
Out of
because.
nowhere. Look at
He does that.
my beautiful Top Gun VHS copy right there. Right there. Look at that. Look at that right there. How dare you?
John, you are right now. You
Fanboy.
are in the middle of moving too right now. So thank you for coming
Yeah,
on
yeah,
for that
I am.
because you're.
It's a huge
And
drag.
you got a
can tell
promotion
that-
too, right?
Yes, I did.
Congrats.
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you. Thanks.
That
Yeah.
And I can tell because there used to be movies back behind you, a lot of them, and now there's bare bones, like bare shelves right there. So awesome, that you're starting to get it going.
Packed up his
everything.
precious Huey Bowl collection.
That's actually right there. That's right there. This is all Michael Bay. This is all Tom Cruise, and this is Huey Bull and Tony Scott. So
That is crazy.
I have my
Well,
little shrine.
Now
and then you
Paul's
have
got to
Tom
show us
Cruise and Transformers up there.
Paul's got to show us his Neil Breen collection, and all that stuff. So the completely different world. And I don't think Liz has a collection, so I'm sorry, Liz. I don't think
She has a pet collection.
she does have a pet collection.
I have quite a pet collection, actually.
That's an awesome collection to have.
Yes. Did you guys see like with the all the for my birthday, I had my family for for lunch to eat lunch. I did not have them
sounds.
for lunch. I didn't eat them,
You
but
ate them
Oh.
for lunch?
Yeah.
Happy
But-
birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Yes. But they had like they all gave me birthday cards, and they were all animal. They were all dog cards, and they did not plan this at all, and they were all in yellow envelopes. So like one came and I was like, oh cool, and then another, and I was like, okay, this looks similar. All right, open it up, it is similar. Okay, that's crazy. And then third and fourth, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Like that was crazy. That was a little bit much, but apparently they know I love dogs. So
And the color yellow.
and I don't though. That's not like my favorite color.
You're
So
not curious yellow?
I'm not. I don't
Don't eat that yellow snow.
Wait,
Yellow snow is delicious. Have you ever had it? It's really good. It's like eating a snow cone.
It's not lemon flavored.
What? No, it's yellow flavored.
Yellow flavor. All right. So I think
On
we're
that
about,
note.
on that note, I think we're on that about that time. But I wanted to thank everybody. I think we said everything we needed to say about this movie and our thoughts on it.
I think it would be better colorized.
Not me.
No, if you want the
Get Ted
colorized
Turner to
version-
colorize it.
If you wanted the colorized version, go watch the remake, which is in color, and stuff, or the 1997 one. I love that one freaking remade a Sidney Lumet movie. That just blows my mind to think about, because those are two of my favorite directors, out there now, I was never a huge Sidney Lumet fan until I started buying the Sidney Lumet movies because I never really watched many of them, and all of a
Prince of the
sudden I'm
City.
looking.
Come on,
I
give
did.
some
Yeah, well,
dap.
that was one of the first ones too. And then I bought Serpico and watched that. I watched Dog Day Afternoon on HBO Max, and I was like, this director, like, has he been all my life? Like, I don't know, but I'm like blown away by him. So
He
now
was
he's one
making
of my
adult
favorite
oriented films in the 70s instead of popcorn movies.
until the '90s or '80s or '90s when he did The Wiz.
Yeah,
You know.
I saw The Wiz twice in the theater when I was a kid.
that explains a lot.
How how dare you? How dare you, Paul?
Tom Cruise will be in the remake. It's
All
okay.
right, guys, I gotta go, so I'm gonna wrap this up.
All right, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you, Liz, for coming for sure.
Oh
Like,
yeah, of course.
we were so happy to have you on.
Yay.
And
Yeah, I'm always happy to be on. You guys make me
Yay.
laugh.
I
Good.
know.
You got a sticky movie with your name written on it, so
Yes,
keep
you'll
the
be
time
back. We'll
for
be
us.
back with more
Just let
indie
me
film
know
content
when.
for you.
I'm all
Um,
about that stinkometer.
Woohoo.
she is. And John, we do a million shows right now, but we are sort of on a little hiatus until till your stuff gets, situated and stuff. But we're really happy to have you on here,
Well, thank you.
for now. So and Paul, you're always pretty much on here most of the time. Unless it's something you really don't want to watch, like Wizard of Oz, then you're like, I'll stay out of it,
Or Star Wars.
or Star Wars, apparently, so things like that. So,
Or Tom Cruise.
any movie with Tom Cruise that I might pick,
I
except maybe,
wouldn't say that. There are some movies I like with him a lot that he does
yeah,
really
like
well
Vanilla
in.
Sky, maybe, and
Magnolia.
um,
Best performance he ever gave.
or
That is.
maybe Tropic Thunder, because that's a great movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, but it's
No.
fucking great, and he is amazing in that too, which you wouldn't think. But
He's the
anyway,
best thing in it.
yeah, he's the best thing in it. So anyway, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back next month with Paul's pick. So who knows? He did Drop Dead Fred last time, so who knows what he's gonna do the next time? We have no idea.
Oh, I know.
Oh, he knows. He already
Yeah.
has his list of things. I already have. I kind of have mine, but I keep kind of switching over and stuff. So we'll see what's next after that for me too. But until then, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll be back. Have fun, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.